Hi stock investors, JJ here, welcome back. Well, right now I'm going to react to this video about Nvidia again, the talk of the day, the talk of the year. Will it become the next Nortel Networks? If you don't know what that is, it's a company that got into big trouble, a tech-based company, and this is Canadian news, so they're talking about, that's where it was from, so they're talking about that. Let's just see what they've got to say about this.
Time now for notable calls. In the past 3 months, utilities are the second best performing group of stocks in the S&P 500 after technology. They are the second best performing group in Toronto, by the way, over that same stretch, albeit with smaller gains. One of the big drivers for this sector has been the conversation around AI. The idea of all the power needed to fuel that technology will increase the need for power sources. It's a trend to watch. But what happens to utility stocks when they've had a big gain? Alec Young of Map Signals says buyer beware. We spoke with him last week after he had looked back at utility sector performance 1 year after a big quarter of outperformance, and history suggests to him the sector will underperform the S&P 500 by about 2.5% in the next 12 months. And he brought up an interesting point, which has gotten lost in all the hype around AI fueling power. He notes utilities, at the end of the day, are regulated, and the regulators decide what they can charge. So for those who are bullish on the AI story surrounding power stocks, his call is to take some profits given the sector's advance.
Interesting angle here coming from it, from the power usage or the need for power for AI, and there will be a huge hunger for power with these big data centers, and if leading towards AGI, artificial general intelligence, it's definitely going to need a lot of compute to get there and to go further.
Staying with AI, the biggest stock story has been Nvidia, now one of the most valuable companies in the world, with excitement beyond belief. Of course, we've seen moments of big excitement in the past, including here in Canada. Remember the rise and subsequent fall of Nortel? Well, one of our regular guests has been thinking a lot about that. Ross Healy is the chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a portfolio manager at McNichol and Associates. Ross, it's great to see you.
Nice to be on with you, John.
Okay, so the backstory on all of this that got you started on this theme, tell us about that.
Okay, first of all, I encountered this interesting book by Annie Duke called Quit. It's entitled The Power of Knowing When to Walk Away. Now, I have been positive on Nvidia, actually all the way up until last week.
Wow, so he was in Nvidia until just last week, and it has added $1 trillion of market cap just in the last few weeks, which is incredible. Something never seen before. Now it's the biggest company in the world by market cap.
And in which I changed my rating from a hold buy, to a sell. And that's because the stock has reached a valuation level which I do not think it can go any further. And there's a number of reasons for that.
Yeah, it definitely could go further. When things get crazy, they can definitely get crazier. As you know, people who lived through the dot-com bubble, it just went on so much longer than really anybody thought. But the valuation on Nvidia is definitely getting up there in terms of the multiples.
First of all, if I can talk about three price reasons. First of all, the price to book is at roughly about 60 times. Okay, and if that's doesn't bother you very much, the price to sales is 41 times. Now, the P.
41 times price to sales is getting up there. In 2021, when we had that emerging tech bubble, some of these stocks were 50 times sales.
E ratio is 76. Now that's on the trailing earnings. So this is clearly a Graham Dodd and Cottle stock, isn't it? As you can see, kind of thing you'd want to tuck away in your RSP for the next 10 years.
He's joking there. Even great companies can be bad investments if they're bought at expensive prices.
So the stock has actually become almost like a gamble. And when you look at the fundamentals, because those are the numbers, let's go look at the business fundamentals. First of all, the number of competitors of Nvidia has just mushroomed, and they're all at the low end of things. Listen, Nvidia's got the Cadillac of the chips. but how many people can drive a Cadillac? And how many people who can drive a Cadillac haven't already purchased a Cadillac? Whereas the low-end chips are, they're now going into Apple and things like that. Okay, there's a huge potential market for that. But this is like Tesla, okay? They had the high end, and then suddenly there was all of these people at the low end. And what happened to the stock? Well, the stock has dropped in half so far.
There have been comparisons with Tesla to this, and I did a video about this on the main channel on the Art of Value yesterday about that, about will Nvidia be the same as Tesla in terms of it dropping from where it is, from the heights, from the peak, wherever that peak is.
Thirdly, if we look at the business that AI has actually generated, a company called Sequoia Capital did a study of it. And they said, look at, Nvidia has sold, I think, $50 billion worth of chips. How much business, incremental business, can we actually identify? And the answer was $3 billion. Well,
so there's been a lot of investment. There's been a lot of investment in AI, but not much return so far. So that's the thing. Return on investment. What will that be, and how long will it take? And will these big companies that are the customers of Nvidia, will they keep buying from this? By the way, if you are getting value out of this video so far, do remember to smash that like button. And also, this is a new channel. Do remember to subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content in the future. There's a new channel. It would help the algorithm to find this channel. I'm going to keep doing it, but it takes a while to build up any kind of audience. So if you're new here, do subscribe.
Don't work out. And what's really interesting is that, so how are the big companies reacting to it? Microsoft and Google or Alphabet, who have these big server farms, well, they are cutting back drastically in that area, which tells you that you'd better be cautious. Okay? Now, on top of it all, if we take a bit of a longer view, we got to remember something about the semiconductor business, and that is to say it's very cyclical. And if you get up there and you have...
It has been cyclical in the past. Will it prove to be cyclical this time again? They've had some incredible sales here in Nvidia, but will it drop back? Will it be cyclical again?
The stock at this kind of a level, it's just like going back to 2000 when we had Amazon way up there. Well, the stock fell 93% from top to bottom.
It did, and it took 10 years to get back to where it was. So definitely something to think about with these stocks that go sky high. Same with Tesla.
A cyclical downturn. So,
having said that, this is not a recommendation. This is just for entertainment and general education purposes. Nothing you see here is investment advice. Do your own research. You've got to do your own research. You'll get a professional and licensed investment advisor before you make any kind of investments or buy or sell.
We got to be very, very careful of this.
Yeah, and
yeah, I think that's true. I think he's laid out his case there that, is this going to be something that is dangerous? Like, well, they haven't mentioned Nortel Networks here. Let's just see if they say.
You were also thinking about the rise and fall of Nortel,
yes,
which we started with.
Yep.
Remind our audience, knowing when to sell or walk away, as the book would suggest.
Yes.
What one has to keep in mind. What's happening around the time when you have to start thinking about that? Because there's plenty of people who are very bullish on Nvidia at the time when...
You're talking about timing the market. If people are riding the bubble and then knowing when to get out.
You felt it was prudent to walk away from a Nortel. What was the mood of the market?
Well, the mood of the market was, by the way, exactly the same on Nvidia as Nortel back then. After I had issued my sell on the stock, all kinds of people phoned in and emailed in to well, it wasn't BNN, it was called ROB, Market Call at the time, and said, never invite that man back on again. I mean, look at his white hair. What does he know about the 21st century? Well, it turned out I knew a fair amount.
But just the challenge, I think, for people to give up on a winner when you got, strategists who are saying AI is going to continue to...
There are people holding for the long term, and, if you held Amazon for the long term, even if you bought it at the bubble, it would have turned out all right, but it was a long wait. It was a long wait, and did people wait? I don't think many people waited that long.
fuel, and this stock is leading the charge.
I have no doubt that AI is going to continue to drive, but the question is, where is the business going to be? Is it going to be at the high end, which I suspect, by the way, is probably pretty well already serviced, or is it going to be at the much lower end? Is it going to be with, like, Apple, which is launching this phone with an AI capability?
So you had held Nvidia stock.
Yes.
And have you now sold your Nvidia? You're just out.
Out.
And you're feeling good?
Is out. Okay. So what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that Nvidia is going to be, have trouble in the months and years to come? Are we near the peak? Who knows? I'm not making any recommendation about that. As I said, I don't know. It's very hard to time. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, do subscribe if you want to see more of this in the future. And thanks for watching or listening. On the screen, I'm going to put a video that YouTube thinks that you should watch next. So go and see that now if you want to. And thanks to everybody for watching or listening. And I'll see you in the next one.